All right, this is live this morning. I'm not even doing anything about my hair, just for a user named Principled Uncertainty who said my hair has been getting better during the coronavirus. Well, I don't wake up that way. Um, but this video is actually for Terrence Hypno Nipple, who asked me the question this morning: do I think that Sebastian Yellow should be included in the death toll for COVID-19? And my response to this is, under the new system, yes. Um, now, for context, Sebastian Yellow was found dead in Montezuma County, and the police found him face down, uh, called in Code Frank, which means he was dead on arrival. Uh, Took him to the hospital. They took some blood, and in that assay, they found that he was 0.55 blood alcohol content, which uh, for normal people would be considered a deadly level of blood alcohol. Um, Now, my understanding of blood alcohol levels as an addiction counselor is that I know that at least 10 people in the Denver area are going to go to the hospital tonight with levels that big, and they are not going to die from it because of tolerance. For someone with no tolerance, uh, where you start getting very sleepy. Around zero point 0.4 is where you are temporarily comatose, and around zero point 0.5 is where you are dead. But uh, having worked in a detox for like 3 years and worked in a hospital setting for years before that, I can tell you that blood alcohol levels routinely get above zero point 0.5 and even reach a little over zero point 0.6 sometimes with people walking around uh, just, as though they were at a zero point 0.2 for normal people. But their tolerance is that much, their addiction has gotten that bad that the numbers shift a bit. The thresholds for where they can remain conscious shift a bit. Now, I'm not saying that they're fit to do anything at all for the whole day after they reach that level, but they're walking, they're slurring their words, they're very slow, but they get there and they live through it. Now, that's, you know, on the way to death. I mean, people don't stay in that range forever. They very often die within a year of getting to that stage of drinking, but night after night, they'll get that bad. Now, when they finally do die, they might have a blood alcohol level in that range. Sebastian Yellow, I don't know anything about his uh, medical history or drinking history from the news. I know that he's Native American. I saw a mug news, which, that in and of itself, being that it was taken in a previous time, that's kind of, prejudicing everybody's thoughts about him. But also the fact that he's Native American and the police might not have been also prejudiced this situation. The attending doctor also might not have been Native. And there's this strange uh, there's this strange honor of people who would have died from other things like COPD or old age, or uh, alcoholism, if their death gets changed to a COVID-19 death, then they get to free themselves of having died from that other thing, like smoking related COPD. Um, that people don't want to give this honor to people. You know, um, it would be like saying that a retired, off duty because he's retired fireman who ran into one of the twin towers on 9/11 just to try to help people. He wasn't a first responder death. You know, and you wouldn't give him that honor because it's the people who are currently serving who ran into the building and were first responders. Those people should be categorized a little bit differently if you're wanting to look at statistics differently, right? Uh, Within the past 2 days, a decision was made in Colorado where they're now going to classify all deaths from COVID 19 in two different ways. There's deaths from COVID 19 and deaths with COVID 19 present, right? And they're still going to send on the complete total to the national statistics, which will probably blend the two. Now, um, the number of people who died with COVID 19, but the cause of death was not listed as COVID 19 on their death certificate, is around a quarter of the total number. So you just saw uh, Colorado's numbers dip from 1,100 something to 887 overnight. There's a little dip in the confirmed COVID deaths. And there's a political charge to this. People want the state reopened right away. They want all pandemic going on. And they want these deaths reclassified, right? Well, after a lot of political pressure and even threatening to bring uh, Jill Ryan, the executive director of whatever medical position she's in our state, um, they threatened her with, oh, by changing death certificates, you're possibly uh, committing misdemeanors and stuff. They've pressured enough people in Colorado, like with armed protests at the Capitol and all that, that they're finally making this change politically. That a quarter of the deaths from COVID-19 are just deaths with COVID-19 now. They're making that concession, looking at the death certificates and saying, okay, well, if the coroner who uh, called this person dead from not COVID 19, but COVID 19 was present, if that's what they said, then we're just going to go with that, right? There was also a case of a nursing home where three people died, and the coroner like to Jill Ryan saying, "Hey, these were not COVID deaths, and you're listing them as COVID deaths," um, because he was specifically saying it was the underlying conditions that did them in. Now, in the end, we're going to look at the excess deaths from this pandemic over certain time frames and see that this spike in deaths that happened is better explained by COVID 19. That some of these debatable deaths were obviously from COVID 19 being present because of the spike in uh, excess deaths total. And this is part of the video series I've been doing this week. But for now, I don't think that it changes policy that much to concede that a quarter of the deaths uh, were deaths with COVID-19 present, but not the primary cause. Um, Within a week, we'll probably still be up over 1,000 deaths in Colorado. We're coming up on, by the end of the month, we'll be up over 100,000 deaths total in the U.S. This is going to bring about, and if you just want to look at the total, and just for simple math's sake, say, okay, a quarter of that total is debatable. I'm fine with that. You know, excess deaths wise, there's also another almost 25% excess deaths if we're going to take New York City's numbers and extrapolate them out for the whole country. Um, there's another set of deaths that aren't even being included yet, maybe because of death certificates not reaching the right office in time because of paperwork delays, or uh, just COVID-19 being present and not tested for, you know. Um, or politically, some doctors out there are kind of rogue and don't want to see their practice closed. So they're just not listing COVID-19 as being anything related to the deaths. And I wish that medical practice wasn't this uh, politically charged, more scientific in its approach, but it is what it is. My coffee is done, and none of you have commented anything that I can see. Um, so I'm just going to end this live stream. Thank you all for watching. Um, Under the new system of counting people's deaths, yes, I would count Sebastian Yellow's death as a death with COVID-19 at least, because he had it in his system and he died. And although he had this major underlying condition, um, we don't know if he would have died without COVID-19 being present.